I was 28 when I married Lindsay, and folks said we were the picture of small-town love done right. We had the church bells, the barbecue reception under a rented white tent, and my Uncle Ray got drunk enough to sing Garth Brooks into a folding chair. It was damn near perfect. We'd been together a little under 2 years. Met at a friend's housewarming party. She walked in wearing a leather jacket over a sundress like she couldn't decide what season it was, and hell if that didn't charm me instantly. She was witty, knew just when to laugh, and always had this way of making you feel like the only person in the room. I fell fast, like most fools do when they mistake attention for affection. The wedding was on a Saturday, and by the following Thursday morning, I was nursing a coffee and half-watching SportsCenter when my phone lit up with a number I didn't know. Normally, I'd let it go to voicemail, but I answered. Don't know why. Maybe gut instinct. Maybe boredom. The voice on the other end was a man. Calm. Matter of fact. Said his name was Kyle. Look, man, he began. I'm not trying to mess up your life, but I think you need to know something about Lindsay. I laughed a little. Figured it was some kind of prank. Buddy, I just married her. Yeah, he said, not laughing. I know. I was with her too. Up until, 3 days before your wedding. That got my attention. I stood up, phone pressed to my ear, not saying much. He kept talking. Told me he'd been seeing Lindsay for nearly a year. Said he'd met her on some dating app. One of those where folks pretend they're just looking for friends and end up renting hotel rooms with strangers. She told me she loved me, Kyle said, flat as a board. Even met my dog. Well, that was strange enough. But then he said, and this ain't even the first time she's done it. I caught her cheating before, she cried, begged, said it was a mistake. I forgave her. Turns out she was seeing you behind my back at that point. I still hadn't said a word. Just listened, jaw clenched, coffee going cold in my hand. She left me right before your wedding, he added. Told me she was going on a trip with her cousin. Took my laptop, 2 watches, and some cash from my sock drawer on the way out. Now, I'll admit, my first instinct was to hang up and call her. But something about his voice, it wasn't angry, just tired. Like a guy who already lived the worst day of his life and was trying to keep someone else from stepping into the same pothole. I asked him for proof. Already sent it to your email, he said. I opened my laptop, clicked through, and there it was. Screenshots. Photos. A couple of receipts for hotel rooms under her name. A damn selfie of the two of them at a festival, the same weekend she told me she was with her mom in Asheville. But the kicker? One photo. A text thread. Her message said, just a few more days and I'll be legally his. Can't wait to figure out how to work this in my favor later, winking face. I closed the laptop. Stared at the wall. My wedding ring was still new enough to shine when the light hit it. I'm guessing you didn't sign a prenup, Kyle said. Neither did I. He paused. You might want to sit down, cause there's more. She's planning something, and it's not just a quick divorce. Now, I'm not the kind of guy to jump to conclusions. I mean, I've taken my truck apart just to replace a rattling bolt, patience comes Bill in. But that Thursday morning, sitting there with my laptop open and a stranger calmly unpacking my brand new wife's double life like he was reading a grocery list, let's just say my patience had its boots on and was halfway out the door. All right, I told Kyle. Let's say I believe all this, and right now I'm leaning that way. What do you want from me? He let out a sigh, like he'd been waiting for that question. I don't want anything from you. I want something for both of us. Justice. Now, that word gets thrown around a lot, especially by folks who just want revenge dipped in self-righteous gravy. But Kyle wasn't seething. He was strategic. Said he'd been burned once before by Lindsay, and she used the same playbook on him that she just pulled on me. She did the same thing to a guy in Nashville too, he said. I tracked him down after she ghosted me the first time. He told me she drained his savings and bailed while pretending to be planning their engagement. I leaned back in my chair. So, what? She's got a system. She's got a routine, man. She finds guys who want forever, gives him a slice of it, then cashes out once the papers are signed. Calls it her exit strategy. He even said that once, when she got tipsy, she told him divorce was a business opportunity if you play it right. I'll be honest, hearing that made me laugh. Not because it was funny, but because it was so absurd, I had to do something before I threw a chair through the window. I can send you everything I have, Kyle offered. Photos, messages, even a couple videos. He did, too. Over the next hour, my inbox looked like the world's worst scrapbook. Hotel bills, plane tickets, a damn receipt for lingerie I sure didn't see. And all of it from the last year. While she was telling me she was saving herself for marriage, she was apparently on a loyalty-free tour of the Southeast. Now, here's where things turned. Kyle sent me one more email, just a single PDF. "Read this," he said. "It's a printout from a shared Google Drive folder I got into by guessing her dog's name as the password. She was stupid enough to keep her own notes there." I opened it. It was titled, Marital Asset Plan, 2025 to 2027. I'll be damned. This woman had bullet points. She wrote out a whole strategy, how she'd build up sympathy, suggest joint purchases in her name, wait at least 6 months to avoid suspicion, and then slowly start the separation process. One note said, "Try to keep cars, furniture under my ownership. Gifts equals mine in court." Another said, "Bring up therapy and disconnect when ready to exit." Plant the idea it was his neglect. I read that document twice. Then I poured a drink. Kyle was quiet on the phone. "So," he said, "you still think she's just confused?" I laughed again. "No, man. I think she's cold-blooded." He said, "So what do you want to do?" I sat there for a second, looking at the ring on my finger. That little circle of lies. Then I said, "Let's burn the whole damn playbook." Kyle and I met up the next day at a diner off Route 72, neutral ground, good coffee, and the kind of place where folks mind their own business. He was younger than I expected. Early 30s maybe. Wore a faded hoodie and had the kind of face that looked like it used to smile more than it does now. He slid into the booth across from me. No handshake, just a nod. "You get a lawyer yet?" "Not yet," I said. "Didn't even get a honeymoon." We both cracked a grin, short-lived, but real. He pulled out a manila folder thick enough to give a filing cabinet a hernia. "Everything's in here. Dates, receipts, screenshots. She's not just a cheater, she's a pattern." I opened it up. First page? A receipt from a pawn shop. That's where Lindsay hawked Kyle's watch, a graduation gift from his dad. Said she needed cash to pay a vet bill for her cousin's dog. Thing is, Kyle doesn't have a cousin with a dog. Or a cousin, for that matter. "I've been keeping tabs ever since she left," he said. "Turns out she'd already started poking around in your finances before the wedding." He showed me a photo, her standing in front of my truck, the one she swore she didn't like to drive because it was too loud. Kyle had taken it 2 weeks before the wedding. That truck was supposed to be in the shop that day. Guess she took it for a joyride while I was at work. "She's not dumb," I said, flipping through more proof. "She's just heartless." Kyle nodded. "And she's planning something. We've got maybe a month before she makes her move. But you're in luck. I've been down this road, and this time, I'm not going to be the only one left bleeding." We laid out a plan right there in that booth over eggs and black coffee. Step 1. I'd play dumb. Act like newlywed life was blissful. Keep her comfortable. Step 2. Kyle would dig through her digital trail, track her movements, and keep tabs on who she's meeting. Step 3. We'd use her own playbook against her, flip the divorce script so that when she tried to walk away with half, she'd end up with less than nothing. Now, you might be thinking this is where the anger comes in, where I break dishes and scream in the driveway. But no, that's not how I was raised. I was raised to wait, to watch, to get all the pieces lined up just right, and then strike. So that night, I went home. She was on the couch, legs curled up, watching some Netflix drama about a cheating husband. The irony was thicker than Texas toast. "Hey, babe," she said sweetly. "I was thinking we should look into joint accounts. Makes everything easier." I smiled back. "You're right," I said. "Let's plan it all out." And I meant every word, just not in the way she thought. Now I wasn't about to go full James Bond on her. I ain't got a tux or a British accent. But I do have a buddy named Charlie who runs a car audio shop and owes me a few favors from back when I helped him fix up his boat trailer. Real squirrely guy. Knows his way around tech like a raccoon knows how to open a trash can. Told Charlie I needed a GPS tracker. Discreet. Durable. No questions. He raised an eyebrow, said, "You sure about this, man?" "Charlie," I said, "I married a woman who calls marriage a business move. I ain't sure about much, but I am sure she's up to something." 10 minutes later, I walked out with a tiny magnetic tracker and a burner app to monitor it. Popped the thing under Lindsay's SUV the next morning while she was in the shower. Took less time than brushing my teeth. Then I waited. First few days, she played the role of the sweet Southern wife straight out of a Hallmark movie. Made chili, laughed at my dumb jokes, even wore that sundress I liked. Guess she thought it'd keep me distracted. But Kyle and I were already watching her pings on the map. 3 little trips stood out like a sore thumb. A strip mall 2 towns over, nothing there but a pawn shop and a nail salon. A storage unit off the highway, rented under her maiden name. And this one, well, this one nearly made me choke on my toast, a lawyer's office. We waited a few days, then Kyle and I paid that storage unit a visit one rainy Tuesday morning. He distracted the clerk with a story about inheriting a grandfather clock and needing unit space, while I slipped around back and used the bolt cutters Kyle borrowed from his job. Inside? Boxes. Not many, but enough to raise a red flag. Clothes. Labeled files. A laptop. Photos. Even a wedding binder. But not our wedding. Photos of her with other men. Handwritten notes like, Toby, March to September ended messy. Don't use again. I flipped to another. Kyle, longest run so far. Had potential but too emotional. Risky. She was running a damn operation. Notes on weaknesses, finances, what gifts she got, how she ended things. Like an HR file for exes. There was even one for me. She labeled it, Jake, classic. Stable. Passive. Avoids conflict. Could be profitable. I took a picture of that page. That was the moment I went from heartbroken to laser-focused. She planning her next move yet? I asked Kyle. He nodded. She's got an appointment at the lawyer's again on Friday. Want me to follow? I shook my head. Nah. Let her feel safe. Let her think she's got us beat. That Friday, I came home from work and found her on the phone. Well, if we start the process in a few weeks, I think it'll be cleaner. No, he has no idea. She turned when she saw me and smiled like she was just ordering takeout. Hey, hon, want Thai for dinner? I smiled back. Sure, babe. Just don't forget the spring rolls. She laughed. I laughed too. Only difference? I had already emptied the joint savings account that morning. Friday night after her lawyer visit, Lindsay was glowing like she just got a promotion. She poured 2 glasses of wine, one for me and one for show, then curled up on the couch like nothing was off. I played along, talked about refinancing the house, maybe adopting a dog, even joked about starting a little garden out back. She ate it up. Thought she was playing me, but I'd already read the script and memorized the lines. Meanwhile, Kyle was busy. He'd found the lawyer she met with, some smooth operator named Reed Danner. Specializes in high-asset divorce cases, mostly on the wronged wife side of things. Had a website full of pastel colors and photos of concerned women looking out windows. Kyle knew a paralegal who used to date the guy. She owed him a favor, and let's just say confidentiality got a little flexible that day. Turns out, Lindsay had already started building a case against me. Claimed I'd been distant, that I had anger issues, and this one had me damn near spit whiskey financial control tendencies. Now, I may be a lot of things, but controlling ain't one of them. I gave her a debit card, let her run wild with Amazon, and never once checked how many candles she needed from Bath and Body Works. But that wasn't the point. The point was, she was building a paper trail to play the victim. Her plan was simple. Milk the emotional neglect, angle, make me look like the reason things fell apart, and walk away with the house, half the savings, and a little alimony on top. What she didn't know, that joint account? Already empty. My paychecks? Diverted. And the house? Legally bought in my name, only signed and paid before we even got hitched. Saturday morning, she said she was heading to yoga. The tracker said otherwise. Kyle followed her to a coffee shop. Not just any coffee shop, the same one she met him at during their first date. And guess who showed up 20 minutes later? A guy named Travis. Travis was, apparently, the next mark. Tall, good hair, dressed like he just stepped out of a tech startup brochure. She leaned in close, laughed like he was the funniest thing in Tennessee, and even fed him a bite of her croissant. Classic Lindsay move. She used to do that to me. Used to call it sharing food with the man who shares my life. Gag-worthy now, I know. But here's the kicker, Kyle caught the whole thing on camera. From a booth, 2 tables down. Zoomed in, time-stamped, clear as daylight. And when she kissed Travis goodbye, she whispered something we picked up clear enough on mic. 3 months, baby. That's all I need. 3 months. Long enough to establish residency, claim abandonment, and slap me with divorce papers while she skipped off with half of everything. That night, I cooked her dinner. Set the table. Candles, soft music, the works. She came home acting tired from yoga. Babe, this is so sweet, she said. What's the occasion? Just love you, I replied. Thought I'd show it. She smiled like she'd already won. I poured her wine. She toasted. To us, she said. And I raised my glass. To the truth, I said. Sunday came. Clear skies. Quiet town. A perfect day to pretend like nothing was brewing beneath the surface. Lindsay spent the morning doing meal prep. Chicken, kale, the usual Instagram wife stuff. She had no idea Kyle and I were already pulling wires out from the walls she thought were solid. See, we weren't just collecting evidence anymore. We were building a counter-narrative. For every one of her claims, we had something airtight to contradict it. She said I was emotionally distant. Kyle recorded a phone call of her telling Travis she couldn't stop laughing at how clingy I was. She said I controlled the finances. I printed every Amazon, Ulta, and DoorDash order she ever made. Thousands of bucks. All untouched by me. And that claim about me not wanting her to work? Buddy, I begged her to take the HR job her cousin offered. She turned it down twice because, and I quote, I don't want to miss Pilates. Now, Kyle and I weren't going to just spring all this and ruin her life in one dramatic blow. No, sir. That ain't satisfying. That's just loud. We were after something a little more surgical. First, I updated my will. Left everything to my nephew. Not out of spite, but strategy. Lindsay wasn't named in it at all. Then I called up my cousin Mallory, who works in real estate. Quietly had her start paperwork to list the house as inquire only. Just testing the market, I told her. She winked and said, about time you stopped being the nice guy. Meanwhile, Kyle made contact with Travis. Not directly, no. He went subtle, found his business Instagram, followed him, liked a couple posts. Waited a day, then messaged. Hey bro, just wondering how long you been seeing Lindsay. She told me y'all were exclusive. Weird, right? Took Travis about 10 minutes to reply. Wait, who are you? That opened the floodgates. Kyle, bless his patient little heart, played dumb. Claimed he met her last month, and she told him she was leaving her husband for real this time. Travis lost it. Turns out, she told him she was getting divorced because I was abusive. Said she was scared to leave, needed help setting up a new life, all that Lifetime movie nonsense. Well, Travis wasn't a dummy. He asked for proof. So Kyle sent over the video of them at the cafe. Then a screenshot of Lindsay telling Kyle she was still married but emotionally free. And that was it. Travis flipped sides so fast, I thought he'd get whiplash. Next thing I know, I get a call from a number I don't recognize. It's Travis. Hey man, he says, I think we've both been played. We meet up. Shake hands. Trade stories. Now it's 3 of us. 3 grown men, stitched together by the lies of one very calculated woman. And let me tell you something, friend, there ain't nothing more dangerous than 3 calm men who've got nothing left to lose and too much time to plan. We decided on the final move right there over brisket sandwiches and sweet tea. It wasn't gonna be loud. It was gonna be poetic. So there we were, me, Kyle, and Travis, 3 exes with one hell of a story, sitting on enough evidence to turn a courtroom into a comedy club. We didn't want just revenge. We wanted a reckoning, the kind that left no wiggle room for future damage. So we came up with a plan. We'd set a date, 1 week from Sunday. That's when Lindsay would get hit from every side. No yelling. No door slamming. Just facts, truth, and a public unraveling she couldn't lawyer her way out of. But first, we needed bait. That Saturday night, I took Lindsay out to dinner. Real nice place. White tablecloths, candlelight, the whole deal. She was dressed up like we were celebrating something, and in a way, we were. During dessert, I said, hey, I've been thinking. Maybe we should look into couples counseling. You know, work out some of our communication issues before they ever become problems. She blinked, clearly caught off guard. Counseling, she said. Fork paused midair. Yeah, I smiled. Just to make sure we're rock solid. People say it's healthy. She laughed and reached across the table. That's really sweet, Jake. You surprise me sometimes. Yeah, well, that makes 2 of us, sweetheart. While I was laying the emotional groundwork, Kyle and Travis were lining up the rest. Travis had saved his texts, every conversation. Kyle had voice memos, receipts, her Tinder profile, screenshots of her chatting with 3 more guys since the wedding. 3. We labeled it all, put it in a Google Drive folder, and titled it, for the judge, Lindsay's Greatest Hits. Sunday rolled around. Lindsay was supposed to meet her lawyer for another prep session. But when she showed up at Reed Danner's office, guess who else was waiting? Travis. He greeted her with a smile. Hey, babe. Small world. Lindsay froze, tried to talk her way out of it, but Reed's secretary already knew. Kyle had anonymously dropped a flash drive off with everything. The whole office had seen the folder. And according to Travis, Reed told her, on the spot, that he couldn't represent her anymore. Conflict of interest, he said. Turns out, you've been in a few too many relationships this quarter. Now, while all this was going down, I was back at home, waiting. When she stormed in that afternoon, she was fuming. Tossed her purse on the counter and said, "You'll never guess what just happened." I leaned back on the couch. "Try me." She stared at me, eyes narrowing. "You knew." I nodded once. "Since Thursday after the wedding." "Then why, who?" "Because," I interrupted, "I wanted to be sure. I wanted the full picture. And now? I've got it framed, mounted, and hanging in a digital gallery." She didn't say a word, just stood there. Then I handed her an envelope. Inside? Photos, notes, bank statements, a little printout titled Divorce Timeline, Projected Gains. All stuff she wrote. And one more thing, a letter from my lawyer. Already filed for divorce. Filed first, mind you. With cause. Adultery. Fraud. All of it. "Oh," I added, "and the house?" "Selling it. Already have buyers lined up." "You can't do that," she snapped. "I can," I said, and I did. "House is mine. Always was. Prenup or not, you never touched a cent of the down payment. Check the deed, counselor." She stepped back like she'd been slapped. "You planned all this." I stood up, calm as a Sunday morning. "No, you planned this. I just read ahead." And with that, I walked out. Let her stew in her own schemes. The queen tried to move, but the board had shifted. Checkmate. Monday morning hit like a freight train. The house was too quiet. Lindsay had vanished, no note, no breakfast routine, not even a dirty mug in the sink. She just ghosted, which told me one thing. She knew she was beat. See, she wasn't the type to stick around when the heat came. She liked to control the narrative. And when the narrative turned against her, she vanished like a possum under headlights. But we weren't done with her yet. Kyle and Travis had already filed official reports: fraud, theft, emotional abuse, real, documented, and timestamped. Travis even sent a copy of the screenshots to Reed's firm, who promptly flagged Lindsay's file and blacklisted her from ever being represented again. Meanwhile, I got a call from our bank. "Mr. Thompson," the voice said, "someone tried to access your old joint account this morning. They claimed to be you." I chuckled. "Let me guess. Brunette, about 5'5", too much perfume?" Silence. "Then, we've locked the account." Good. That meant she was getting desperate. And desperate people make mistakes. That afternoon, I went over to Mallory's office, my cousin in real estate. We signed the official paperwork to list the house. I wasn't just moving on, I was wiping the slate. Fresh walls, fresh future. But the best part? We put a special clause in the listing. One that said current occupant must vacate before sale closes. No exceptions. I left a printed copy taped to the fridge, just in case Lindsay came slinking back. And sure enough, she did. Tuesday night. Headlights hit the driveway around 11:15 p.m. I didn't even look up from my book when I heard her come in. The door creaked, then shut. She stood in the living room a full minute before saying anything. "You're really doing this," she muttered. I dog-eared my page. "Oh yeah. And you're late. I expected the guilt trip yesterday. I made mistakes, Jake. But this is cruel." I looked her dead in the eye. Cruel is lying to 4 different men and stealing from 2. Cruel is planning a divorce while wearing a white dress. Cruel is pretending to love someone while already looking for their replacement. She flinched. Not dramatic. Just that tiny shift you get when someone finally runs out of their own lies to hide behind. Then she got quiet. Really quiet. "I didn't think you'd figure it all out," she whispered. "Well," I said, standing up, "maybe next time you'll pick a guy who doesn't pay attention." And with that, I handed her a manila envelope. Inside? Final divorce papers. Already notarized. No settlement. No assets. Nothing. She was walking away with exactly what she brought into the marriage. A pretty face. And a reputation in ashes. She looked at the envelope, then back at me. "Everyone's gonna know now, aren't they?" I smiled. "They already do." And that was the last time I saw her. She left before sunrise, and I never looked back. Weeks passed. The house sold fast, young couple from Chattanooga, newlyweds with big smiles and no baggage. I handed them the keys with a quiet kind of pride. That house held bad memories, sure, but it also taught me something money can't buy: clarity. I moved into a small place on the edge of town. 1-story, wraparound porch, and a garage just big enough to hold my old Chevy and a workbench. Not much, but it was mine, bought outright. No one else's name on the deed. And for the first time in years, I slept easy. No double-checking bank accounts. No wondering who she was texting. No more second-guessing my own damn gut. Kyle stayed in touch. He moved on quick, started dating a teacher he met at a bookstore. Travis. He got a little lost for a while, but last I heard, he'd taken up hiking and hadn't seen another woman since. Good man, just needed time to find solid ground again. As for Lindsay, well, turns out small towns have big mouths. The story got around, couldn't help it. When 4 different men start comparing notes, and one of them's got a cousin in real estate, and another who bartends part-time at a local hotspot. Word spreads. She tried to move 2 counties over and reinvent herself. Different name, same game. Met some tech guy, claimed she was a marketing consultant. But guess what? He was friends with Travis' cousin. Didn't take long. She got outed online. One of those viral storytime videos. A TikTok called The Southern Siren. 1 woman, for men, and a whole lot of lies. It got picked up by a local news blog. They didn't name her, but the details were real specific. People knew. And just like that, she went from mysterious, heartbroken divorcee to a cautionary tale. That new tech guy? Ghosted her. Job offers. Dried up. Word is, she's living with her half-sister now, trying to keep her head down. Not ruined. Not broken. Just exposed. Me? I didn't celebrate. Didn't post about it. Didn't gloat. Because the best revenge? It ain't about rubbing their nose in it. It's about living in such a way that they know they lost something they'll never get back. And I was finally living.